Zucko!
Yo, what's up, my guy? How you doing, Escanor? I haven't seen you since, last week. How's things with you in the Bay?
You know it's always good. So, what my tier list at?
I was waiting for Lilia, like, the entire time. I really didn't want to make a tier list of, like, the entire game, and then, like, the next day, Lilia comes out, I'm like, oh, fuck, my tier list is out of date, and I gotta redo it.
You just forgot, didn't you?
I didn't forget! I've been making, like, 2-3 videos a day, bruh!
Don't talk back to me. Otherwise, ikimos.
Okay, bro, chill. Yo, what's going on, guys? Sekapoko here, bringing you another 7 Daily Instagram Props video. For this, be going over the 40,000 subscriber tier list. We're like, I think we're like 100 away. So fuck it, let's do it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alrighty guys, so let's go ahead and go over the tier list for June and talk about some of the changes that we're going to be making to the tier list, as well as with some of the placements that are going to be changing here. So before we go into this, of course, I do want to, of course, say thank you guys for 40,000 subs on YouTube. You guys are awesome. We've been pushing really hard, like 200 to 400 to 400 subs every single day, so that's really crazy. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I can't believe after like this much time you guys are still subscribing at that rate. It's like really high. So looking at the tier list, there are going to be some changes that I did make this last couple weeks. There aren't really any changes to the D tier. We're going to keep these guys at the bottom. I think I might move Ruin up to C tier, to be honest. I actually didn't take in this into account. Now that Training Cave is here, I think I want to move him up to C tier. And the other two units, Jude as well as Taizu, are not really good in anything in content. So anything else, I think Blue Griamore should move down to the D tier as well. I don't really think there's going to be any other issues with any other characters here. Frieza can possibly move down to D tier, but you're going to need her for reverse stages, so it's like why bother? Otherwise, there's not any other changes for C or D tier. Those are pretty much the same. Let's go up to B tier and talk about the changes there. The first thing that got changed as Griamore last month was in the B tier, and as we have a more DPS based meta and more people that can actually do damage on targets as well as do better things PvP, we're gonna move SR Griamore up to the A tier in PvP to reflect a very similar character, which is going to be Guild Thunder, as they are both extremely good characters to put in the backline for PvP. And the only advantage Guild Thunder has to Griamore is that Guild Thunder can be run in PvE situations, and because of that, he is going to be a little bit higher in the tier list just to reflect that kind of ideology. Of course, we're going to be doing everything versus PvE, PvP, etc. So that is a fair way to balance in. We also midway through the month, last month, we put Bond down to the B tier. And I actually thought about it a little bit more, and we put him back up to the A tier. The reason that he's going to stay in the A tier right now, even though a lot of people are not using him currently, is there is a PvP team that is very, very good against Lilia, not Lilia, really good against Valenti comps. And the team that's really good against Valenti comps is called Bon Pen. And I ended up putting that team, I believe, on the website here so at some point. I don't know if it's here. Let's go look. There's Bon Pen. So Bon Pen right here is actually a very, very strong team. And the reason it's super strong is because Bond will reduce defense as well as give you a nice little damage buff on your Bond. Plus, literally giving Pen to Bond is also increased damage for him. Doesn't even scale off it that well, but him having this is really nice. And it's mainly here for Valenti compositions. This enables your Meliodas to do damage against Valenti, so it does help out a lot. And it actually makes it so Lilia ult rollback actually works against Valenti. You'll understand why it doesn't work later on. So that's the main reason Bond moved up to the A tier in this tier list, and that's a major change for that. Of course, we moved Milim down to the B tier because she was only going to be good for 1 month. She was really not going to be good for very long. That's why I wasn't really worried about her at all, so of course she moves down. Then we're going to have Galland. Galland had a long run and the A tier, and then now, since no one can use him right now, he's moving down to the B tier. I did recently see him in a PvP video yesterday from Chosun on a full commandment team, which was really interesting to watch. So I checked that out, and he might move back up in the future. He's actually a really cool team to watch. So definitely, if you have pulled Galland and you were thinking, oh man, I wish I didn't have put all these dupes into Galland, he might come back, and there might be a PvP meta in the future. The Korean meta on PvP versus the Japanese meta on PvP is very, very different. So I'm curious to see if he will have any play in future PvP, but it's kind of interesting. I'm very curious about it. Other changes, we moved Gustav as well as Red Merlin down to the B tier. So here's Red Merlin as well as Gustav. The two major reasons they are moving down to the B tier is because you don't need them for final boss anymore, or not final boss, guild boss anymore, and there's no reason to use these units in any PvE situation besides Red Demon, and that's the only time you're ever going to use them. In PvP situations, Gustav does not really counter Valenti if you want to do that. They don't cancel each other out, they both work. So, and a Valenti will go down to, say, 0% resistance rate, but the enemy team will also go down to 0% pierce rate. So they kind of negate each other a little bit, but only those two units get nerfed. And the pierce rate still gets nerfed on the Meliodas team with Gustav, so it doesn't really help you to do that. All right, as far as other characters go, for Red Merlin, she is a very strong character in PvP. The main issue with her is that she's not very free-to-play accessible for a lot of people, and many people will not be able to run a 6/6 Red Merlin versus a 6/6 Green Merlin for future content. And between the two, we want to distinguish how strong they are in difference. So in HP defense, Red Merlin is a meta that does come into the Japanese version later on. It is a very strong build for HP Def Merlin. You can do it. I'm not saying that you should build into it now, but it is something you could potentially do in the future, especially if you go with an HP and defense set on your Merlin for UR gear. The other characters that are going to be changing for this, we kind of just left Blue Merlin in a B tier. I actually might even move her as low as the C tier, to be honest, because she is just absolutely dog shit. And I watched a couple other videos on her, and I was just like, oh my god, she's not even the one doing anything, she's just sitting there. So I'm really sad that Blue Merlin is just so bad. I hope that she gets better, or they rework her in some way just to make her better, but she's really, really bad. The newest character in the game, of course, we have is Green Deanne, and she is okay. Right now she's okay. There are teams that work well with her in Gearless. I was talking with a couple people yesterday about it. I was helping Critical Alex doing some teams in PvP with her. I've watched a bunch of PvP videos with Green Deanne and people using her. Of course, the major issue against her is going to be any type of King Brum character or Escanor, and because you're going to have a lot of cleanses right now in PvP as well as petrifies in PvP, I don't really think she's going to move higher than the A tier currently, because that's her major weakness, is that she is a taunt, but she's also able to be petrified. So that's a major issue that she has currently. In the future, though, she doesn't actually have that issue as often, because there are much fewer cleansing characters and petrifying characters in the meta for PvP. I think at one point there is a right now on the JP meta, there's a Blue King as well as Blue Liz and Red LV Melly meta that a lot of people are using. It's very common, and that does have a petrify against that DN. I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue if you use a Merlin shield with it, but it is, it is something that will happen. But I think A tier is probably a safe placement for her. Going up to the next tier, we moved, of course, from the top tier S tier, we moved Blue Lizhawk down to the A tier. This is just for PvP stipulations. Right now, it's really difficult to use a Blue Lizhawk in PvP. You can use it, but it is not as good as the current ulti rush metas and other metas that are out there. Valenti team compositions are much stronger, etc. So that is a good reason to move her down. Green Lilia is going to stay at the A tier. If you do have a 6/6 Green Lilia, there are team compositions that work really well for Lilia. I'm not saying that you should build into her. I'm not saying she's going to be amazing, but she is an alternate unit that you can use as a backline unit that's just as strong as Grimoire and just as strong as Arthur. The issue is you need a lot of CC on that character, and Grimoire, I think, has more CC than Lilia on an HP and defense set, because Lilia is more defense-based versus HP-based. So you might actually get more ACC on Grimoire, and then lifesteal could potentially be better for you too. It really just depends on the team composition that you're running. Going up to the S tier on units, the other character that moves down and is actually moving all the way down to the A tier, and I might even move her down to the B tier depending on the next few weeks of Guild Boss and seeing how it goes, is Jericho. She's moved from the S tier, of course, down to A tier because she doesn't have any use right now in PvE content or PvP content. She may even move even further down to, again, as the B tier if we don't have any use for her at all, because her HP value is extremely low, her attack value is extremely high, and makes her a good supporting unit, but really doesn't make her a viable unit in content, which is really what matters in PvP as well as PvE. The other things that we're gonna have here, we kind of locked in blue Meliodas into the S tier. The reason I didn't move in this first few weeks though, he's probably been an A tier unit. Once Valenti came out, he's definitely an A tier unit. He's definitely not there. I just don't want to ping pong between S and A tier for the next few weeks, not confuse you. Once Blue Lilia comes out to the game, of course he will be like an S tier unit, and you're just gonna have to figure out if you want to use a Blue Lilia team, sorry, a Blue Lilia Meliodas team, a Valenti composition, Kingdom team, Ulti Rush teams, whatever team you want to use. There are many different metas that you can run, and I just didn't want to ping pong between multiple different spots for just one unit based on when the character that's coming out next week comes out. So Blue Lilia most likely is coming Tuesday based on what Number says is coming next release, so that's why I'm just going to keep him in S tier, but right now he's A tier. Going for that, through that we have Valenti. She's definitely going to be an S tier unit. Many people had said, oh, she's not good in gearless PvP. I've had like an 80-90% win rate with her in gearless PvP, so I'm not really having too much issue. I've seen many people use her in gearless PvP and they do very well. She's definitely a top 100 PvP unit right now. There's many people that can use Valenti on many different compositions. She's a top tier unit. I don't know if I want to put her as high as SS tier, but right now S tier is a fair place to put her, just because she's kind of a questionable unit for future metas, and I don't know if SS tier is the best place for her. I think if we wanted to be rational, right now this week, she is an SS tier unit. There are counters to her like Hellbrim, etc. But if we wanted to look between the power level between two units, Valenti is also a top tier Grey Demon unit, whereas Red Hellbrim is not really a good unit here. My Valenti drops can one tap the second phase in Grey Demon with an attack defense set. It does really well with just one buff. She does a really large amount of damage. She doesn't do any damage in the first phase, but she also makes it so Grey Demon is kind of trivialized in general. And of course, I autoed Grey Demon with Valenti on solo, so that was also another thing that you can do. As far as the SS tier, we're gonna put Blue Lilia here partially. We're just as like when she comes out, she's believed to be an SS tier unit. Of course, we don't know if she will be on the global version, so this is just kind of a questionable choice here. The core 3 units that are going to be the top of every PvP team, of course, Escanor, Gowther, and King. These are the core units for many PvP teams. They all revolve around these 3 units. That's where the meta is. And the last change we have here is Arthur. And Arthur is finally moving down from the SS tier down to the S tier. And Sekapoko, why is he moving from the SS tier to the S tier? Well, the main reason that Arthur is moving down is because more people are starting to focus on different non-human metas, and the amount of non-human teams is starting to go significantly higher. And the reason that the non-human teams are going higher is because of Blue Demon Meliodas. We're going to have more Gowthers that are higher ultimate levels, more Kings that are higher ultimate levels, and that leaves room for Griamore to be a better unit. So we're kind of just closing the gap between the two 15% units, giving people an option to run different team compositions. Now, the other choice, of course, is a lane if you were running a fairy composition, and the issue with the lane is that the DPS units on a fairy team are reliant on ultimates versus reliant on actual raw damage, so Griamore would be a better choice for most people. And that's why Griamore is moving up to the A tier, and then Arthur's moving down to the S tier. Arthur didn't really get any weaker, he's just becoming less and less relevant until we get more of an amplified meta. And you can still run a mono red team. That is what we can all kind of agree, that the mono red team is definitely not the best team in the game anymore. It's not one of those teams that is so meta that you can destroy every single team that comes your way. I'd say like most mono red teams that I've seen would go about 60 to 85% win rate depending on the teams, and they can still do pretty well. But as far as being able to use coin food with those teams and being able to like rock against other teams, Kingdom is in full force right now, and you're having, I've seen a ton of people have big problems against Kingdom lately. So it isn't hard for them to fight against it. It's just that mono red, of course, gets countered by the Hellbrim ulti, which just will cleanse the entire thing, and that's more of a prevalent meta as well. So Arthur, again, did not get any weaker. He's not worse right now. He's just it's less relevant than using a Griamore. So that's why Griamore would move up and Arthur would move down. All right. So going over the PvP meta right now, there are a lot of different PvP teams that are doing very well. I'd say the number 1, 2, and 3 teams are going to be these teams right here. I don't know why this moved down to S tier. Oh yeah, this was in preparation. Right. This team is probably an SS tier team. So these 2 teams are the meta teams right now in PvP. This team composition no one wants to run, but as everyone can agree is very strong. This team right here is the direct counter to this original team. And Escanor Ulti Rush does very well against Kingdom, as well, and does pretty well against Resistance to Futural. This team does very, very well against many different compositions, depending on who goes first, and can actually win against Kingdom about 50% of the time, depending on RNG. It also can be 100% dependent if you're doing gearless or geared PvP, and it really just depends on your luck. My experience is I win about 80% matches against Escanor Ulti Rush teams, because if I'm able to go first turn, I can actually just eat an Escanor ulti, have someone die, and then use a Gothor ulti or a Valenti ulti to kill someone else in the enemy team, and then just have so much pressure that they can't do anything. As far as other teams go, there are Meliodas teams, Escanor pre-bond teams, high DPS teams. They do pretty well against Kingdom comps and Ulti Rush comps. There are 3-tap teams. These are all like really high teams. This is probably the only team that I would say move down to the A tier. There are like Mono Red does not work as well as it used to. There are many different compositions that are definitely moving down and moving away from meta. Some work really well, some work not others. And if you have questions on these, I watch a lot of PvP on Global on Twitch and watch some YouTube videos as well, depending on the YouTuber. Because like there's obviously like pre-recorded ones that are just like cut into specific bots, but there's many teams that work really well. As far as like top meta teams, this is a list that'll help you give like lots and lots of meta teams versus like lots of different offbeat teams that can do very well. There's a lot of offbeat characters in here that can do pretty well, but honestly, it's really going to depend on your whale level and free-to-play level if you want to build those units out, and you can kind of understand like how much you have to invest into a unit at this point in order for them to be good. Some units are really good at 6 out of 6 ultimate, some units are not good at 6 out of 6 ultimate, and some units are good at 1 out of 6, so it really depends on the unit. Like a Blue Lilia character would be really good at 1 out of 6 ultimate. She's really there for their passive as well as alternate skills, and her ultimate level doesn't really help besides giving good damage on her ultimate, and if you're going a Pierce Rate Lilia, your ultimate is very, very low damage anyways. Alright guys, well my name's Sekapoko, thanks for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for the 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, really fun. We've had almost like 25,000 I think on YouTube, Twitch as well, so we've had a lot of new followers, subscribers and everything, so thank you guys for all the support in the channel, thank you guys for watching, hope you guys have enjoyed all the videos. If you have video questions or something like that, I have a log right now of some videos that you guys have requested, and I am working my way through them. So of course let me know in the comment section down below if you have more videos you want me to put out and ideas that you want to put out. Of course I gotta put out the event related stuff first, and then I can do that, work on that stuff later out throughout the week. But thank you for watching guys, have a great night. Bye.